Hi, this is Sergeant Betsy Brantner Smith with the National Police Association, and this is the National Police Association podcast. I have a terrific guest with me today. I'm going to guess a lot of you know who he is. He is one of our law enforcement leaders who really stands in the gap for not only his law enforcement officers, but for the United States of America. This is a guy who understands the Constitution. He understands what his responsibilities are, and we just can't appreciate him enough. And we're really excited to have him. Sheriff Keith Swank, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. Good to talk to you again.
So, gosh, so much has happened since the last time that we talked. Sheriff Swank, you're the sheriff of Pierce County, Washington, which in which the city of Tacoma is your county seat, and you are dealing with a lot of lunacy. There's really no other way to say it. Not just in the state of Washington, but in your own particular county. Tell us about Pierce County.
Well, Pierce County is the 60th largest county in America, almost 1 million people. And it's what we call a charter county. So that means, and there's 7 charter counties out of 39 in Washington state. So Pierce County has its own, for lack of a better term, a constitution. And in that constitution has some restrictions that put in on the sheriff. So even though the sheriff is an independent office by the Washington state constitution, there's some restrictions on the sheriff put on by the constitution of the Pierce County charter. And so I'm dealing with both of those in Olympia, the state legislature, and in the Pierce County itself.
So are you forced to be a sanctuary county?
Pierce County is run by an executive, and the executive and county council consider Pierce County a sanctuary county. However, Washington state passed this act called Keep Washington Working, KWW Act. I call it the Keep the Violent Illegal Aliens in Your Community Act. And anyhow, that makes the whole state a sanctuary state, meaning that we will not work with or cooperate with ICE and any other immigration situation like that.
So I know you, and you're a guy that loves America. You love law enforcement. You love your state. What made you want to run for sheriff in Pierce County, Washington?
Well, I graduated. I retired from Seattle Police Department in 2023, and I had been there for 33 years. So I plan to leave the state. Actually, to be truthful, I wanted to move to Florida. I was trying to persuade my wife where we should move to. Florida, someplace warmer, someplace free. And God told me to run for sheriff, so I did. And so that's why I ran for sheriff. I was trying to run away. I ran for sheriff, and he didn't say I was going to win, but he said I was going to run, and I ran, and I ultimately ended up winning. Maybe he decided there was some more punishment I needed or something. But anyhow, I ran for sheriff. I got elected, and I took over being the Pierce County sheriff January 1st, 2025. And I am the first person ever elected sheriff from outside of the sheriff's office. So that right there is a big feat in and of itself.
So obviously the people of Pierce County believed in you and believed in what you campaigned for, and they wanted your style of leadership. Am I wrong about that?
No, you're right. They wanted it. They voted for it. I was clear what I believed in. I put it in the voters pamphlet. I did interviews. I did mailers. I let everybody know what I stand for. And so they knew it when they voted for me. Yes.
So I get the impression that not only the county administrator, but again, your state legislature, they don't particularly appreciate your style of law enforcement leadership.
Well, let's talk about the state legislature. That's the most important part here. That's affecting sheriffs, the independence of sheriffs itself. So Democrats in Washington state have a supermajority in the state house and state senate. They have 60% plus. There's 2 supermajorities. That one they can initiate any legislation regarding money, any finances. But the 67%, which is I call it super majority, then they can change the Constitution. So they're close to having a super majority in both the houses. Then they can change the Constitution. But in the meantime, they can't change the Constitution. However, Democrats have every statewide elected office. Every single one of them is a Democrat's in position. The only thing Democrats don't have control of in Washington state is the office of sheriff. So they want to pass legislation. They call it modernizing policing, but it's a qualification legislation for sheriffs. And in it, sheriffs would have to go through a background check, polygraph check, social media check, all kinds of different checks. And then they would allow you, the legislature, a bureaucracy by the legislature would allow you, if they deem so, to be able to run for sheriff. So that way they can weed out whoever they don't want to have in running for sheriff. In addition to that, they have mechanisms to decertify you as a police officer and then remove you from office because you're decertified. And that would be run by a political group of the Criminal Justice Training Commission. And people like me who are outspoken, they could say what I say on social media, things such as transgender women are men. That's hate speech. They could decertify me and remove me from office. They already have a complaint with the Criminal Justice Training Commission saying that since I posted that, that was hate speech and I should be decertified. That's how crazy it is here.
So let's explain to people the office of sheriff, which has a long and storied history. You can go back, the reef of the Shire, and then when we come into American history, the role of the sheriff has always been, and you said it very well, an independent person with an independent office, um, who is, I mean, of course you're elected, but you're elected by the people, and you're supposed to do the people's bidding. And in certain different states, there's very specific rules about what the sheriff can and cannot do, what their responsibilities are, but none of it that I know of in the United States is controlled by politicians of one party or the other. I find that extraordinary, and I find it dangerous.
Yes, and in our case, since Democrats control everything in the whole state, it's super dangerous because all they're going to do now is remove sheriffs from office that they don't agree with, put people in there that they agree with, and then all these crazy laws that they passed, they will impose. Like right now, people like me are standing in the breach saying, no, we're not going to go with that gun confiscation law or this other law that violates the Constitution. But when they get the right people in place, they can do that. And I tell people this all the time. I was not elected police chief. I was elected sheriff. There's a difference. Police chiefs are appointed and they do the bidding of the person who appointed them. That's fine. But I was elected by the people. I'm speaking for the people. And being the sheriff is much more than just enforcing the law. I have people come to me to talk to me about property line disputes. I had a guy just come talk to me the other day about he's a gold miner and about how the government's infringing upon his right to gold mine. I mean, who would think that they'd come talk to, they don't talk to police chiefs about that. They come talk to the sheriff about it because they want to come to me and say, this is what's going on. And sheriff, can you help us out? And that's what
Right. The role
are.
the role of sheriff is a lot more than just going out and having deputies go to calls and things like that. You have to run a correctional institution, which
Right.
which I want to talk about. That you deal with things like property rights, and you serve all kinds of papers, and you have court responsibilities. I mean, it's a huge responsibility to be the sheriff, especially in a largely populated area like you have. I want you to explain to the non-law enforcement people watching, um, when you are as a sheriff, when you cooperate with ICE, explain to people what that looks like and why it's safer for everybody.
Well, first off, I want to let everybody know that we don't cooperate with ICE in Pierce County. And I do want to cooperate with them. But the reason why we don't here in Pierce County or any place in Washington, and I would be the first one that would do it. Most sheriffs wouldn't do it. Maybe there's one other one that would do it, but the attorney general, there's been laws passed and the attorney general would enforce it where they could go after deputies individually and hold them accountable civilly and sue them. So I don't want my deputies to be sued. So because of that, I don't enforce anything with ICE or cooperate with ICE. Now, if they just sued Sheriff Swank, everything would be fine and we would do it. And my wife and I have had this conversation. We're okay with them suing us because we want to bring attention to it, and we're warriors. We'll fight for it. But I don't want my deputies risking losing their house and things like that, right? So, but the way it should work is this. We work together, we find people, we arrest them for a crime, and they're illegal aliens. They're booked into our jail for the crime we arrest them for. And then to make things safe, what we would do in a sane world is we let ICE know that we have this illegal alien here in our facility. And since the facility is safe and secure and sterile, we could have the ICE officers come to our jail, as an example, and pick up the suspect right there, not without having them for me to release them back on the street and have all the danger of the person back on the street to society, plus the danger of contacting them and arresting them. So that would solve everything. That's what sane sheriffs do, and sheriffs of states that want to work and cooperate with the US government and US governmental agencies.
Thank you for that explanation. And for example, here in Arizona, in our largest county, which is Maricopa County, our sheriff there, he actually made an office for ICE in his jail so that when they have someone in custody who has an ICE detainer, very safely, when that person is getting ready to be released from the jail, that person is handed over to the ICE agents. Nobody ever sees the outside. So there's no protests. There's no having to serve search warrants. There's no having to do traffic stops. And it's much safer for everybody, including the illegal alien detainee. So I just want that to be clear for everybody. So, Keith, you came from Seattle PD, a police department really near and dear personally to my heart. I know so many people on that agency, one of the best agencies, the most educated, the best trained. And you left kind of at the height of the whole George Floyd riots and all that. But Seattle PD has been dealing with Antifa, Reclaim the Streets. I mean, Occupy Wall Street. I mean, probably for most of your career, right?
Yeah, I've been working riots in Seattle since Rodney King, right? I worked him for years. So, the World Trade Organization, WTO, right? And N30 and May Day and any other type of protest or riot that you want to have. And we were very, very well trained in crowd management at Seattle in the 90s and early 2000s. But then when it came to the 2020 in the Summer of Love and the Chaz Chop Zone, it was really an embarrassment to be a part of that organization and how the command structure just let the people take over the street and whatnot. So, I was a captain there. They didn't put me in charge of very much. They're just an overnight shift there. But ultimately, when they finally said, the politicians finally said, let's clear out the Chaz Chop Zone, I was the commander of the SWAT team. We got it all together, did it early in the morning, and went through there. And once they saw us show up in force, meaning business, they all left, just like would have happened to begin with if we would have been allowed. So when I became sheriff, I said, I'm not going to let politicians tell me how to run the sheriff's office, right? So I don't allow them to do it. They get mad about it because they want to tell me how to do it, but I don't tell them how to run their office. I don't tell elected politicians what they do, but they believe that they can tell me because they think I'm their chief of police. They don't like the fact that I'm the sheriff, but they still think that they have the authority over me, like a mayor or a county council or city council would have over a chief of police, but they don't have that.
Do you see, or did you at least start to see, and I would have to say, because you were elected, you probably saw some of this, the pendulum starting to swing from 2020, where people started to realize in 2024 and 2025 that they needed police officers in their neighborhood, that unlike what Kamala Harris said, less cops means less crime. It's actually more cops equals less crime. People started to realize they needed us. Were you seeing that as well?
Well, I believe that's what the citizens believe out here. However, in the 2024 election, Washington State is the only state that became more blue. Out here in Washington State, if you even mention that you maybe even like anything that President Trump did at all, that is a death knell to your campaign, right? Even if it's Republicans, unless there's just some certain areas where it's okay. So President Trump is disliked, hated out here on the left, disliked by the people on the right. So this is a really crazy place, right? The whole thing is crazy. And so therefore, just because ICE is associated with him, the people around here hate ICE, even though Barack Obama with ICE deported more people than President Trump has. And Tom Homan was his guy, right? And Tom Homan now is a person that they hate. So they just hate this out here in Washington State because they hate President Trump so bad. And you can't talk to them. There's no sense to be made about it at all. It doesn't matter what you say. You try to reason with them. You can't reason with them at all. So I've decided the only thing to do is to just push back against it then and go out here and get like this, get my voice heard so people can hear it and they join in and join the sanity, right? Like, hey, we're out here, we want to have our sheriffs elected, we don't want you to interfere with it, and then encourage them to get a hold of their elected officials and go to their meetings and tell them about it.
Are you supported by other sheriffs in Washington State?
Well, there are a couple that support me. I don't know if you saw the video of me giving my speech to Olympia. So that got the Sheriff's Association and the Washington Association of Police Chiefs and Sheriffs. They wrote a letter, a strongly worded letter to tell me that they didn't like what I said and that they were going to have a meeting and they might throw me out of the club.
Oh
Now,
no.
I let the citizens know about it, and I believe that all those people on the executive board who signed off on this, I believe their phones are blowing up, their emails are blowing up, and all kinds of things are going on. So they're going to have a meeting supposedly to determine if they want to kick me out of the club. And I believe if they kick me out of the club, that's a good thing. I believe if they keep me in the club, it's a good thing because either way, I'm going to let people know this is what happened. If they keep me in the club, it's because the people spoke and said, you are not going to get rid of him. There's too much pressure on him. If they throw me out of the club, I'll let the people know and the people will pressure them again and say, what are you doing? And we're going to run somebody against you for sheriff then because we don't want you there. We want you to support sheriffs. Here's the thing. The people who run WASPIC, the Washington Association of Police Chiefs and Sheriffs, and the one that run the Sheriff's Association, many of them are from small agencies and they're from small counties. They don't know what real politics is about. And I was speaking to them one time. I'm a sheriff of a million population county, and these guys were lecturing me, and 8 or 10 of them, all combined, don't have the population or the sheriff office that I have. And they want to tell me because they've been a sheriff longer than me that they're smarter than me, but they don't understand politics. They don't understand what the Democrats are doing. So I told them we need to not compromise. We should push back. And the only compromise bill we should have in Olympia is say, if you have a qualifications bill for us sheriffs, that sounds great. Have a qualifications bill for all you politicians too. All of you legislators have the same, do a background check, social media check, right? Let's check out your credit score, all that stuff like that would happen to me, right? And of course, they would vote no on that because they have convicted felons who are state representatives in this state. So that's what I say. Need to push back. I think the people are with me. I think that video that of me speaking to them, to the Senate in Olympia has over 5 million views. And just real quickly, somebody interviewed me and said, do you wish you would have said something different? And I said, because they want me to try to say, oh no, I'm sorry for what I said. I said, I only wish that instead of the 90 seconds I gave, that they would have given me the full 3 minutes that I was originally supposed to have, because I didn't get to say everything I wanted to say, so I had to publish it instead. So no, I stand by everything that I said. I don't need this job. As a matter of fact, it pays very little compared to, I make $1,000 more than my retirement check was. So it's nothing for the hours that I put in here, but I'm here fighting for the right to keep the sheriff's office independent and for the people of Pierce County and the state to be able to vote for the sheriff that they want.
Well, and I really see this, and I hope we're going to talk about where your social media is at the end of the interview, because I want people to go see that video because it's extraordinary. Um, but where do you see this catching on nationally in blue states? Have you does that worry you?
Well, what I see catching on nationally in blue states is people seeing my video and the citizens speaking up to the sheriffs and saying, Sheriff, have a spine like that man has, stand up to people and do that. That's why I see it catching on at. The other part about controlling the sheriffs. Oh yeah, that's what Democrats do. They want to. Here they are with their No Kings protest, and they're being the kings here, right? Gonna subject me to. They get to tell me whether I get to run or not, right, or whether I could be a sheriff or not. So it's the hypocrisy of them. So what I think's going on is hopefully this video of me speaking out like that will it's gone viral, but will go throughout the country. People in blue states will see it and they'll say, hey, we want our sheriffs to stand up for us like that too. And that's what I'm hoping is going on with it too.
This has got to take, I've just got to say, this got to take a personal toll, and I know, you and your wife you're a team in this thing. Because and quite frankly, as a police spouse, it's teamwork anyway, right? If you're married to a cop, you've got to be part of that whole situation and support each other. um what is that like to have to deal with all of this national attention and all of this angst, coming out of state government? What's that like to deal with on a personal level, especially when you could be sitting on a beach in Florida enjoying your retirement and enjoying living in a free state?
Yeah, it's a lot of work. But and what they do is it's me against a whole bunch of people, right? I don't even have any professional help. I don't even have, and we'll have to talk about it some other time. I don't even have legal advisors that I can trust because my prosecuting attorney is against me, right? And these things, but it keeps me motivated because I want to make a difference, right? I want to make a difference. My wife, we just say this like every time they do something, we use a new verb. They're trumping me, right? That's what it is. They're trying to say that I'm President Trump or I'm one of his guys, and that's the way I'm behaving this way at all. And I always just say to them, well, it would be cool if I was, because then maybe he come out here and give me a hand, right? But I'm by myself, and the Trump DOJ hasn't been out here. And if you're listening, please come out here and give me a hand, right, to fight these people. So I'm doing this all on my own. I get emails every day. I get hate emails, right? Because haters always do that. But I get emails every day that said, "Thank you for standing up for me." I had emails that say, "I was going to move out of the state, but I'm staying now. As long as you're the sheriff, I'm going to stay and I'll be here for you. I'm going to fight with you, right, to try to change this back around." And it's so bad here that maybe if they take away these rights from the sheriff, the people might finally say, "Okay, that's it." Because I always thought every year I think, oh, we're going to hit rock bottom. We haven't hit it yet. They keep voting these crazy cop hating Democrats back in the office, and maybe it'll happen. Then I have people get a hold of me and say, hey, will you run for governor? We want you to run for governor, right? Because we want to have somebody stand up there and fight, and things like
You
that
could
too.
announce it right here.
So yeah. So people, it's giving people encouragement, right? And when I get these emails saying, I had a guy just recently sending me an email and he said, I'm going to move to Pierce County so I can vote for you. That's pretty cool. Maybe he was moving there anyhow, but maybe not. Maybe he said I'm going to go there. I'm in Washington State. I'm going to move to Pierce County. I'm going to vote for you. I'm going to be there. When I told the state Senate, I said, hey, listen, if you try to remove me from office, thousands of people will surround the county city building where my office is, and they won't allow you to do it. They're going to protest, right? And so I have people saying, oh, I'm there. If that happens, I'm not going to allow them to take my sheriff, right? So it's a big movement. I think it's going to be good. A lot of the police chiefs around the area are scared because they're appointed, and they're kind of backpedaling, like, I don't know if I want to be with Swank or anything like that. But I'm encouraging them and telling them Have courage, stand up, do the right thing. If we all stand up, do the right thing, what are they going to do? Fire all of us? Fire all of you guys at one time? I mean, I have people threatening me to, like, we're going to recall you. I said, oh, do it. Go ahead and do it. If you think you can gather enough signatures, enough people to recall me, go right ahead and do it then, right? I mean, that's what democracy is about. That's what our republic's about, right? You have the ability to do that.
I'll
So
tell you,
it keeps me energized.
clearly, and I'll tell you, you are the epitome of what Dr. Travis Yates calls is courageous leadership, and I really do believe you are inspiring people, not just in your state, but I think you're inspiring them nationwide, and will continue to do so. Tell people where they can find you, how they can support you, and learn more about what it's like to be that sheriff standing in the gap.
Yes, well, I'm mostly on X, so you can follow me on X. It's at Swank, SWANK, the number 4 America, at Swank for America. But also, you can, if you support me, you really want to support me. What really shows that support is money. So you can donate to my campaign. It's Swank, FOR Sheriff, swankforsheriff.com, and go there. And then, just search my name on the internet. The video that I gave down in Olympia, Washington will pop up. Copy that, share it with everybody you can. Turn around. I'm not saying this just to try to toot my horn, but it's a courageous speech. I was there by myself. No one else spoke like I did. And I tell people, they say, were you nervous? I go, of course I was nervous, right? Because I have people tell me they want to kill me. So of course I was nervous about it, right? And I'm nervous about somebody trying to harm my wife when I'm not at home, right? So I'm nervous about it, but we made a commitment, my wife and I, that we're going to do the right thing. We're going to stand up and be courageous. And of course, I don't want to get harmed or anybody else to get harmed, but we're going to do the right thing and not allow them to scare us. So at Swank for America, swankforsheriff.com, and just search my name, find those things, and then share it with other people so they can see what's going on out here in Washington State, and give them
Absolutely.
encouragement to have courage and stand up and fight.
Absolutely. If you are fighting for your county and for your state, you're fighting for this country, and you're fighting for American values, and you're fighting for the American law enforcement officer. And that's one of the things that we love most about you. So we really appreciate you taking time out of your crazy busy schedule to spend time with us today. And if you'd like more information about the National Police Association, you can visit us at nationalpolice.org.
Every day, the brave men and women of law enforcement put their lives on the line to keep us safe. But they need our help to continue their mission. Activist politicians, progressive prosecutors, the ACLU, and the rest of the anti-police forces receive millions in donations from extremist pro-criminal elements like George Soros and woke corporations. The National Police Association is fighting them in courts around the country, including the United States Supreme Court, defending officers who are being attacked for doing their jobs. Additionally, the National Police Association works year-round to pass tough-on-crime legislation to put and keep criminals behind bars. Consider going to nationalpolice.org and donating to keep us in the fight. Together we can win. That is nationalpolice.org.